Hey everyone, I have Sean Aspenlind, who is the owner of Thrive Lending. Sean, before we get started today, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, my name is Sean, and I'm one of the owners here at Thrive. And my role is very much, coaching and helping our loan officers grow and grow and scale the company. And so I'm here based out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's awesome out here, but we're in 17 states and growing. So it's been a fun 4.5 years since we launched the company.
Awesome. Nashville's a really cool place. I know a
Yeah,
few LOs out there, like Tim Davis. If you know Tim, he's a coach too. But
yeah, yeah.
um, I'll basically we'll go through some questions, see how we can help loan officers. One of my first questions, I see over the last like 4 or 5 years, a lot of loan officers have been leaving the industry just because it's hard. It's been harder, right? With like rates getting higher, less people buying is what they're saying. How are you staying in front of like your past clients? How are you getting new clients and how are you growing that part of the business?
Yeah. I think before I dive into like this strategy that works well for me and our team, I think big picture, my advice for any LO I talk to is like pick something and be consistent with it. I find a lot of LOs just in conversations and in meetings and in inquiries, it kind of comes up, but there's no real strategy. So for me, I like to keep things simple. So like, for example, starting with past clients. Okay. My goal is that my past clients would hear from me via email twice a month. So
Nice.
that means once a month, I'm spending 20 minutes putting together a market insight, like a market update email. Very simple to do, especially now with AI making it so easy. You can build it out very quickly, right? But having your contacts organized in a CRM or in like MailChimp and tagged correctly, very basic stuff allows you to move quickly when it comes to outreach. So for me, my outreach to my past clients is one market update email per month. So I just theme it like recently April market update, right? And it goes out to all my
Yeah.
past clients in MailChimp, right? And then I use a program called Home IQ. I've been using that for a long time, probably 6 or 7 years, really pretty much since it started. And that sends a customized report to each homeowner that I've closed a loan for that's in that system. And every month it's branded for me. I don't have to think about it. It goes out on autopilot. And then what I do is one day a week during my business building activity hours, which are usually in the mornings, 2 hours every morning is what I time block Monday through Friday. On Wednesdays, I will have that as my past client day and I'll reach out to past clients strategically. So my goal is to reach out to them 2 to 4 times a year. Now it depends on the size of your database, but having that strategy. So for me, it's 2 emails a month and I'm making phone calls to build relationship and continue the relationship beyond the closing, right? So many
Yeah.
LOs focus on getting the lead and getting the realtor and getting the client and doing the loan, which is great, but that should be the starting point of your relationship, not the ending point. So
Yeah.
having a strategy for how am I going to stay in front of and relevant and provide value to my clients beyond the transaction so that when they are looking to buy a rental or they have a family member or a friend or whoever, I'm the no brainer choice because not only did I do a great job on the front end, I've stayed in touch with them, in the back end. So hopefully that answers that question. But
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that was perfect. It's funny you say that because for the loan officers I work with, I recommend we send two emails out a month every 2 weeks with a video,
Uh-huh.
so they're seeing your face. And one is a
Okay.
market update, and the
Yeah.
other is just answering a common question that's being asked that month. So I love that idea
Mhm.
because it kind of like shows LOs like it
Yeah.
really is a good spot 2 times a month. So you're not annoying them, but you're staying in front of them enough so they remember
Yeah.
you.
Well, the same thing. I do the same thing with agents. I'm very
Yeah.
simple. Like my life needs to be simple and like easy to follow. So like I do the same thing with agents, right? And I know there's agents that I work with a lot and there's agents that I want to work with, I don't work with, but I have a group of agents in my CRM and I do the same thing. Once a month, they send out a market update report that's geared toward agents, right? And then another one I send out that's something valuable. And in my mind, something valuable is either going to help them build their business and make more money or save them time. Those are typically my two filters. So for example, last week I was in Puerto Rico for a mortgage leader event, invite only. I was super grateful to be invited. There's a lot worse places in the world to go to a mortgage event, right? The beaches of Puerto Rico. So it was great. But I was in this room and man, I mean, in a group of, I think there was 48 people invited in this setting from all over the US. Mortgage loan officers, mortgage leaders, CEOs of some of the largest companies in America, mortgage. I'm looking around the room and there's about $30 billion of loan origination volume represented in this group of like 48 to 50 people. So on one hand, I'm super grateful to be in that setting. It kind of had a little imposter syndrome because like I know the value I bring. I feel comfortable. I'm like, man, this is a whole nother level. So I was grateful. But then the other side of it was, okay, how do I take this, apply it to myself, but not just myself, my team, but then also how do I use this to provide value to my agent partners? Tying it all in here. So I put all of my notes and all of my brain dumping, all the things I learned through this 3-day event with these high profile leaders, right? Into Chat GPT or Claude or whatever you want to do. And then I'm using that framework to put together a 6-month email sequence campaign that goes out to my real estate agents so that once a month they're hearing from me on a relevant mortgage market update thing, more tactical. And the other one they're hearing from me is development, growth, leveling up, right? So I'm not just the guy that's like, hey, you got anyone that I can pre-approve? It's like, hey, I want to help you grow. I want to help you crush it in all areas. Yes, I do loans, but beyond that, I want to help you elevate, right? So just give me some practicals.
No, I love that. And I think kind of my question's going off the cuff a little bit here,
Yeah.
but I see a lot of loan officers where they don't want to share their ideas, they don't want to collaborate with other loan officers. But what I've seen is the top producing loan officers are collaborating with other LOs. They're not afraid to share their ideas because like as long as like they're doing it, why not share? How has it helped you grow your business? Collaborating with other LOs because we're competing with each other, but there's enough business. Like, how's that helped you?
Yeah. Well, there's two things I think about with that because you're exactly right. When you're growing your business and just starting, you kind of have this thought of like, well, I got to protect what I learned. And it's like, well, this concept that goes way beyond mortgage is giver's gain, right? You give freely. So if I could recommend anything to LOs watching this, give great advice and great insight freely and expect nothing in return, right? I think agents get annoyed. Just give an example. If all I do is I call them and say, hey, got a lead for me? I think that's tacky. I'm not saying to not ever do that, but I'm just saying if that's all you're doing, like they're going to they're not going to answer your phone because they're just annoyed that that's what you called about, right? And so, in regard to your question, there's one aspect of giver's gain that I think about. The other aspect in regard to giving freely is that it comes back, it comes back in multiple ways, whether it's leads and referrals and business building activities, it's insights. I want to collaborate with people that are doing more than me, right? And I want to give back to the community the things I want, because there were people along my journey that gave freely and it shifted, these little things shifted my business, like little tweaks, right? To where I am today, 10 years later, nine and a half, 10 years later, So I fully agree. I fully agree with you. And I would recommend, give to give, and you never know what doors that will open up.
Okay. I love it. I got another question because a
Sure.
few LOs I've seen face this. You can't make everybody happy, right? You can't make every agent happy. You can't make every client happy. I was wondering if you have any advice for these LOs that are like, they did everything they could to make the agent happy, but they still are not happy. Through your experience, how have you gotten through that and how have you dealt with those type of people, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, this could go in so many different directions, like when you're an LO and something comes back that is a wrench in things or comes back as a surprise or something that was missed. I always think honesty is the best policy and being proactive versus reactive. So rather than sitting on it and waiting for things to boil over, be proactive, whatever even if it's a bad update, right? Be proactive, communicate clearly, right? Because I look back and 9 times out of 10, maybe even more, 9.5 times out of 10, even though it was a difficult situation, when I proactively take initiative and take the reins and don't hide from it and don't try to skirt around it, but like communicate clearly, set updated expectations, then maybe set a game plan if it's applicable for how we're going to get past this and get everyone on the same page. Yeah, it's a bump in the road, but it can be, it can be avoided, right? Now, the second part I think about with your question is sometimes I think, especially as a newer LO, you want to go build and you want to, cast this wide net and you want everyone to work with you. It's okay for you to not be a good fit for an agent and vice versa. I know it's hard to hear when you're newer, and I know this isn't just new people. I understand, but I see it every day. If you're new or a couple of years in the industry, you have this mentality of I got to work with everybody. Well, now, you're in 5, 6, 7 years in, you have an established book of business, you have a flow of referrals, you have business growing year over year, hopefully, right? You don't have to partner with everybody. you can be more selective. And so that's some advice that I would give, is that be selective with the people you truly choose to spend your time and pour into, because it's a lot more than just, let's just do some business together. The best partnerships are the ones that align on multiple levels, right? So I could talk a lot about that, but
No, no,
hopefully
you're
that,
good. I have one more question after this, but I think just to add to that a little bit, like your circle of influence is so important. And if you're trying to make an agent happy, that's just always negative, always being like the market's tough, guess how that's going to affect you. But if you're okay to like lose a deal or two and focus on your agents that are like positive, guess how that's going to affect like your personal
yeah,
life, your business life. So I love
yeah.
that you said like it's okay if you're not a good fit for everybody. So just love that.
Yeah. And you can set boundaries, like if it's not an absolute emergency, use discretion, but set boundaries, like I'm very much into, I'm not into the hustle culture, thing. Like I'm all for hustling when it's time to hustle. And I
Yeah.
can make exceptions here and there, but like first and foremost, my identity, this is getting into the deeper side of things, right? My identity in my life is not a mortgage loan officer.
Yeah.
Like that's just the reality. My identity first and foremost is in Christ, and then as a husband and a dad and a leader. And
Yeah.
I also my profession happens to be mortgaged. I want to be the best I can when it's time to do that. But I don't work 24/7, And so I feel like a lot of LOs have this mentality, especially in sales, not even LOs, just sales in general. So setting up boundaries that work for you and making sure that you're working hard and intentional in your work time. That way, when it's done, you can not check out, but kind of check out and be like present with your family.
I really love that. I love that you talk about like Christ, family, and like being a leader. It's really cool. One last question, I'll let you go.
Sure.
Where is the best place for loan officers just to connect with you, maybe collaborate with you? Like what platforms or
Yeah, I'd say Instagram. Instagram is the one I use the most for more for business and growth. I've been having this feeling in my heart that I should start a YouTube page, and I hesitate because I'm like, well, one more thing to do. Here we go. But I've been thinking about it. It's like, a lot of times I feel like there's great resources out there, but like you got to pay for coaching and you got to pay for this, and they dangle a carrot and you have to like sign up for 6 months of blah, blah, and I get it if that's what they're doing, but I'm not I'm not developing a coaching platform, but I
Mhm.
coach our LOs. So what I want to do is create a YouTube channel that's just like solid, seasoned, good tactical advice
Yeah.
for LOs. So, connect with you on Instagram, but be looking out for the YouTube stuff because it'll be free. Kind of like back to what you're saying, giving to give and blessing people and helping people with the things that I had to learn the hard way, or I had to pay a lot of money to learn in some cases, with coaching platforms and just giving to give. And, will my company grow because of that? 100%. Because I will attract the people that are in alignment with what we're doing and how we carry out our company and what they're learning, and getting. Sure. But that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to give back. So
Cool.
anyways.
Cool. I really love that. By the time this podcast airs, we'll put Sean's YouTube link in there so you guys can subscribe.
Sweet.
But thanks, Sean. I really appreciate you joining and sharing your
Yeah,
advice.
Devin, thanks for
Awesome.
the invite. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Okay. See you guys.
Thanks.